Welcome back to the GM's office. Today is the trade deadline primer episode. We get you prepared for what to look out for and, who to keep your eye on at this year's trade deadline. But, quick PSA, I wanted to do so much more ahead of the trade deadline this year. Like, I had all these cool video ideas, and school got in the way, man. I can't lie. Like, education comes first, but man, school is kicking your boy's butt right now. Not even in like I'm doing bad or anything. Just the workload has been heavy since the Christmas break. But yeah, I also wanted to get someone on. My boy Jalen was going to come on, but it didn't really work. He's having some computer issues as of late. So he's probably going to come on to react to stuff post-trade deadline. Let's hope that happens. But yeah, let's get into today's video where, we're going to start with the Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we'll also talk about the Yves Missi trade to the Portland Trail Blazers. We're also going to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo today, and the team I think actually would be the best fit for him long term, and just the two teams I think could make the most compelling trade offers. And then lastly, we're going to go over three guys that I think are the most sneaky additions at this year's trade deadline. So let's get into things. First thing up, let me just read over the full trade details here. So we had DeAndre Hunter going to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis, and then the Bulls got into this deal, got Dario Saric and a second-round pick from each team just to help facilitate things, make the money match, that sort of thing. This deal is hilarious to me. I mean, the Cavaliers walked out with highway robbery. They brought in Lonzo Ball in the offseason to be their backup guard, a gritty backup guard, a guy who's going to come in and give them a bit of a different look. It didn't work out, and now they replace that guy with Dennis Schroeder, which, I mean, we've seen, like, you're either going to get an elite player in Dennis or you're going to get, like, someone who just can't make a shot. But if they get the Detroit Pistons version of Dennis Schroeder that we saw last season, I mean, watch out. The Cavs could really turn up in the second half of the year. And then Keon Ellis, I mean, whether they keep him long-term or not and they can afford to pay him and jump into the luxury tax to keep him this offseason, that's a heck of a player to at least get for a one-year rental for no really draft capital other than a second-round pick. And that's what brings me to the Sacramento Kings. What are you doing? Like, let me fact-check something. One sec. Yeah, okay, I was right. So DeAndre Hunter's 28 years old, and you just acquired him and traded away probably like the player on your roster that every single team in the league wants in Keon Ellis. Just a really good defensive player who can shoot the hell out of the three ball. And you gave him away and got you had to give up draft capital to take on oh my God, man. I mean, like, Sacramento, you're looking for someone to run the show. Call me, because I won't be doing this dumb ass maneuvers that you guys are up to, bro. What is this? Shout out the Chicago Bulls, though. I mean, getting 2 second-round picks for just facilitating you take on Dario Saric. I mean, it sucks to see Javon Carter get waived in a coinciding move, but that's a W for Bulls fans. I think they should be happy with that. They didn't really give up. They didn't give up anything. They gave up a two-way contract player, if I'm not mistaken, and got back 2 seconds. So there you go. Now, the second deal that happened over these last couple days was the Yves Missi deal. He went to the Portland Trail Blazers for Duece McBride and 2 future seconds. This, I think, when we take a step back in like a month's time and look at the trade deadline after everything happens, this is going to be a move that no matter what, I'm going to give the A+ to the Portland Trail Blazers, man. You gave up a guy, who you signed as a two-way player. And it does suck seeing Duece McBride now have to go to a new situation. Good for him. He's actually probably going to get a little bit of PT over there in Atlanta because they need some help in the front court. The front court. But, Yves Missi this season is a 42% three-point shooter. This is a guy who had 8 threes against the Clippers, 6 of 8 shooting against the Utah Jazz earlier this season. This kid's a sniper. And for a team like the Portland Trail Blazers, who's 33.6% shooting from 3 this season as a team and is dead last in the NBA in 3-point percentage, you needed that. And, it's not like they went out and they acquired a guy who's going to go out and take 25 shots a game and 15 of those be 3-pointers like a Steph Curry type of player. At the same time, when you move the margins just a little bit, you're going to get better. And providing, getting a guard that's going to provide more floor spacing is exactly what this team did. And it didn't cost him anything. Not to mention, too, Krejci's on a deal where he's going to be making sub $3.5 million for the next 2 seasons. That could be very easily could become one of the best contracts in the entire NBA. And obviously, I can't fault the Atlanta Hawks for making this move. There was just not really room for Krejci, and They just brought in Corey Kispert, who plays a similar role, so it made sense, and they have Kispert locked up very long term now, so like it makes sense. But shout out the Portland Trailblazers for just making a smart move. Like, Krejci's probably going to come in and, like, I'm not going to say he's going to just be this incredible difference maker because, like I said, he's not taking enough shots where he's going to jump them or move the margins this aggressive amount. But he's going to move it just a little bit, and he's going to make the team just a little bit better. And for 2 second-round picks and an undrafted player you signed a few years ago, that's a massive, massive win. All right, now that we're going to move past, the moves that have happened and talk about stuff that could happen. Now, first off, I want to say I don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be traded. I just don't. I don't think he's going to be traded at this year's deadline. Like, the offseason, yeah. But it's hard to make a move for a player of that much, like, that has that big of a contract, that big of a name during the season and get maximum value. And I think the Bucks understand that. So, that being said, the team I think makes the most sense for Giannis is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, we'll circle back to the Portland Trailblazers really quick because no matter what happens, Portland is going to have to be involved. They own the Bucks' 2028 first-round pick, their 2030 first-round pick. They have a ton of young talent, and they're a team that's going to look to get better, like whether it's in the offseason or if somehow, for some reason, Giannis gets traded at this deadline. They're going to be a team that's going to be able to take advantage of that situation because of the draft capital they own. Another team that's going to be able to take advantage of this Giannis situation is the New Orleans Pelicans because they have the Bucks' rights to their 2027 first-round pick. So that's another thing to note. But back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. I love the Minnesota Timberwolves idea of getting Giannis just because, a lot of people, and I was one of these people too, loved the whole idea of the Knicks getting him and pairing him with Jalen Brunson. But is Jalen Brunson going to be able to play off ball as much as he's going to have to play alongside Giannis? I don't really think so. And if there's one player in this league we've seen that is just, this is what makes Anthony Edwards so special. He's just so adaptable. We've seen him play with countless different starting lineups, different star players, different point guards. He makes it work. We've seen him play point guard. We've seen him develop into one of the best three-point shooters in the entire NBA. If Giannis can team up with Anthony Edwards, they have to make it happen because they're made for each other. It would be the greatest two-man game since Kobe and Shaq. Now, how do they get there? I mean, it would take a lot. It's going to take a lot. You're probably talking about trading, Jaden McDaniels, maybe to a team like Portland and getting those first-round picks and then trading those first-round picks and Naz Reid and Julius Randle and Rob Dillingham and Jon Berenger probably to the Milwaukee Bucks and bringing in Giannis. And, sure, there's questions about if Rudy and Giannis can fit together. I don't need to worry about that. They're going to figure it out. Those two players will figure it out because they're two of the best defensive players I've seen in the last 10 years of basketball. But again, this brings me to my point. I just don't think a Giannis trade happens today. The only way a Giannis trade happens at this year's deadline is if the Golden State Warriors do it. Because the Warriors, they have the Jimmy Butler contract and he's hurt, which we've heard they're probably not going to trade. But if they can get Giannis, you have to shake your head and be like, you know what? We can risk ruining a relationship with a player and a player that may hate our franchise for the rest of eternity to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I think Jimmy Butler would understand that. Because they have control of all of their own first-round picks. And that is something, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, as cool as it would be to get your own picks back, if you can have the post-Steph Curry era first-round picks with the way we've seen the Warriors draft over the last couple of years and build out rosters and be very inactive in free agency, if you can bank on the fact that post-Steph Curry, they're not going to be able to figure it out, that's a very exciting thing for a front office. But that being said, will the current Bucks regime even be there by the time those first-round picks materialize to anything? And that's why I think getting the Portland Trailblazers or their picks back from Portland and New Orleans is the first thing the Bucks are going to look to do when they start opening up full on to these Giannis trade talks. That's the first thing they're probably looking to do right now. They're trying to find ways to get those picks back, and that's crucial. That's 100% crucial. So, I'm kind of all over the place with this Giannis stuff. I don't really know what's going to happen. One thing I'm pretty certain of is if it's going to happen, it's not going to happen at this deadline. I think it's just more of an offseason move because I also think a team like the Timberwolves can get way more flexible and way more creative with a trade for Giannis in the offseason. So we'll see what comes of that, but let's move on to the top three players I think, could be the most underrated pickups for teams at this year's deadline. Okay, this is the exciting part. Let's go on to our first player, Duece McBride. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh my God, but the Knicks are contending. Why would they be selling Duece McBride? We've seen Tyler Kolek. That is his spot. Like, Mike Brown is very confident in Tyler Kolek. And the continued, injury management to the left ankle of McBride has kind of been a thing. And I think they're looking to trade him for like a more positional fit. Now, I'm not sure if this should probably have to be a 3-team deal to make this happen. But the Houston Rockets need to go out and get Duece McBride. They need a point guard. And while Duece is a little bit more of an off-guard type, his shot making at a 42% three-point shooter paired with his defensive disruption would make him like a match made in heaven for Ime Udoka's system. Like, I think if there's a team, that's not necessarily looking to make a move to put them over the top, because I don't think this is the year for Houston to go out and try to get a championship, just with the injury that Fred VanVleet suffered and now Steven Adams being out. Like, it's a tough spot for them to be in. But that being said, like, I still think they could make buying moves. Like, Duece McBride could be a piece going forward as well. And I think he's just a perfect point guard for this team because, I don't necessarily think they need a full-on traditional guard, especially still having Reed Shepherd coming off now. What I would assume would be just coming off the bench full-time. You still have Amen Thompson who can initiate the offense. You have Kevin Durant who can initiate the offense. You have Alperen Şengün who can initiate the offense. So I just think Duece on this team, like, he is meant to be a Houston Rocket with this current core, and I would love to see it happen. I'm assuming it would have to be like a 3-team deal that would allow the Knicks to get, a big man or like a wing even. But I think this is something that needs to happen. If you're the Houston Rockets, you need to find a way to get Duece McBride come February 5th. Next up is Yves Missi out of the New Orleans Pelicans, man. I think, when we talk about the Toronto Raptors, this is a guy they need. We saw the other night against the Utah Jazz. They were getting killed. February 5th. Like, absolutely fried on the offensive and defensive glass by Lauri Markkanen and Jusuf Nurkic. It continues to be a trend all year. Not even just with Jakob Poeltl out. Like, this team just can't rebound well enough. Sandro Mamakavashvili and, Colin Murray-Boyles have been excellent, playing the small ball 5. But again, you just need a little bit more size, and I think the 6'11", 21-year-old Yves Missi is the perfect player to bring that to them. As someone who covers the Pelicans, I've watched, like, I think 99% of Missi's minutes this season. And yeah, like, he is the guy for the Toronto Raptors. And with the Pelicans being so willing to sell him, I think it's just time they pull the trigger on it. He's a rebounding, shot-blocking threat who he just plays so hard. Like, he's very raw still, I'll say that. Like, he's very raw. He's not going to come in and put up 20 and 10. Like, he's not that type of player. But he plays so hard that it doesn't really matter. Like, he makes winning basketball plays. And to put it in perspective, like, last time I checked, and I checked this like 2 days ago, he was still first in net rating on the Pelicans. So, when he's on the court, the Pelicans are almost winning games when he's on the court, which, from a guy who watches every game, it's not been a thing I could say a lot this season. So, if the Pelicans are really, really looking to sell him, that's a team that needs to call that phone and blow it up until they accept a trade, because he would be perfect for the Toronto Raptors. He's exactly what they need. And yeah, that would be my next player and fit, at this year's deadline. We have a hostage situation. We have a hostage situation in Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga is being held. Oh, sorry. Jonathan Kuminga. Let's get this guy a fresh start, okay? I don't care if it's with the Kings, Mavericks, Nets, Knicks, Suns. I'm just going to start naming. I don't care. Let's just give the young man a chance, Golden State. Because clearly you guys didn't value him. And now you're valuing him because, Jimmy Butler's hurt. Steve Kerr, bro. You already screwed over Jason Tatum. You already screwed over Tyrese Halliburton in the Olympics. You didn't take Jaylen Brown during the Olympics. You don't know what you're doing, clearly, with young players in this league, and you're sinking Jonathan Kuminga's career and future in the NBA. So let him go. Let him go. It just frustrates me so much, because why invest a top 7 pick in a guy who then gets frustrated that you're not playing him, and then you take that as an opportunity to just try to sink him? Like, I don't know. I don't really care where he goes. I don't have a specific team. I think, he'd be a perfect piece for the post Giannis era Bucks, just as a guy to kind of see what you got there. But this kid can flat out score. Like, sure, he's not a good shooter, but that's fine. Like, if he's going to play the 3-4, most teams have enough spacing where they can counter that, and maybe he'll develop the jump shot. But one thing is certain about this guy. He can flat out play basketball, and I just want to see him get another chance. Like, I don't really have much more to say other than I just don't want him in a Warriors uniform come February 6th. Like, I want to wake up, wake up in, February 5th morning and look on my phone and it say Jonathan Kuminga was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Like, I don't care how it benefits the Warriors. He deserves the chance to go play for a team that actually values his needs. So, yeah, Jonathan Kuminga is my last guy. One team I desperately need to see make a buying move at the deadline is the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, this team has been on fire. They've won 6 straight games. They're a game and a half back out of the play-in tournament as the 10th seed. They need to be buyers. Like, I need it. Like, I understand they're playing some of the best basketball. You don't want to break that up. But guys like Josh Green and Grant Williams, they aren't playing. And you put those two's contracts together, you almost have $28 million to play with in a trade. So it's not that they need to like go out and get an all-star caliber player, but I want to see them get a legit center. Like Moussa Diabate, I think he should remain the starter, but bring in someone else because Ryan Kalkbrenner, he was cool at the start of the year, but teams just fry him in drop coverage. Like that game against the Mavericks, every single possession that Max Christie had the ball or Klay Thompson had the ball at the top of key, they were literally just screening, and he would just drop, and they take a two-pointer from the nail/free throw line area. Like, they need a legit center option if they want to. I think this team could sneak into the playoffs this year. They just need, another viable center option. But they've been awesome. I just wanted to shout them out, like, in general. It's been a joy to watch them as of late. And then a team I want to see be sellers is the Dallas Mavericks. Like, I don't think there's a world where they're going to catch the Portland Trail Blazers as the 10th seed. They're like 3.5 games back of them. It's time to sell. Like, sell Daniel Gafford. Maybe that's the guy the Hornets call and get. But, just recoup some assets and come back next year with Kyrie, AD, and Cooper Flag and Najee. Maybe sell Najee Marshall. Maybe you could get a first-round pick or 2 first-round picks for Najee Marshall. He's playing at a ridiculous level right now. So I think, just continue to prioritize the development of your young guys like, your Cooper Flags, your Brandon Williams, your Max Christies. Focus on those guys and try to get the highest draft pick possible because you throw Keaton Wagler on this team, bro. Oh, my goodness. You're talking about, a serious tandem for years to come between him and Cooper Flag. So, I think it's time for the Mavericks to just sell and just kind of concede and just focus on the offseason and focus on the future with Cooper Flag than, building towards something. Those are my one buy, my one seller team. But yeah, like, I don't know. I was kind of just rambling today. I wanted to get some content out. The trade deadline's like a sick time of the year. Like I said, I wanted to do so much. I wanted to go like division by division and talk about it, but life gets in the way sometimes. When I'm out of school and I can do this professionally, it'll be a little different. But yeah, for now, that's all I got for you. I think a new big board will come out soon. I'm not going to say when exactly because I'm not sure, but there's going to be some serious changes. I think Keaton Wagler will be like a top 5 guy on that board next time you guys see it. So yeah, take it easy. Peace, love, and enjoy the trade deadline. We'll see you next time.